Alright, get excited because in this episode we're heading into the dungeon. We're heading into Lord Jabu's belly, which is the third dungeon of the game. We're going to be completing the dungeon in 4 episodes, so it's going to take about 40 minutes roughly to complete the dungeon. That's including this episode. So this episode is the first of 4 episodes that will be tackling the dungeon, and it will be over and done with in 4 episodes. I think there might be 1 episode of cutscene after that, but that's how we're going to be tackling today's episode, this week's footage, and so on and so forth. Alright, let's start it. Alright, we just got back from the Great Fairy's Fountain, where we just got Pharaoh's Wind. It's really confusing names. But the next thing that we basically have to do is give the god a offering, and that's of a fish, and that's how you make it open its mouth. Getting a little bit lost here. I kind of wanted to swim up onto one of its fins to see if I could land on, see if I could stand again, but I don't think I end up doing that. Yeah, there we go. We can almost stand on the fin by swimming up to it. I thought maybe there'd be a bit of a shortcut around there to the left, so that's why I swam that way, but there isn't really. There was a lot of waiting and like blank space in the game. That's why as the Let's Play goes on, there'll be a lot more jump cutting between places, because basically what happens is you travel from one end of the Hyrule field to the other, one end of the map, the whole game to the other end of the whole game. Let's break these pots here, see what's in them. Not that much. You do end up needing quite a few Deku seeds to begin with, but once you get the boomerang, everything kind of clears up a little bit. You do need lots of Deku nuts. I think we start off with something like 30 Deku nuts, and we end up having almost none by the end of the dungeon, just because Deku nuts are so important. Okay, just gotta give an offering. I think you're technically feeding the god. I think that's what Princess Ruto was doing when she got inhaled by Lord Jabu. The music doesn't match the situation. I mean, it's a pretty freaky thing to be sucked up by a giant aquatic animal, and the music is all happy and lighthearted. Look at those teeth. This is a really creative dungeon, actually. It's a really frustrating dungeon if you don't have a guide. And these Octoroks pop up all over the dungeon. They're really irritating. I think they're just distraction mechanic things. Like they're just there to distract you from what you really want to do. Like there's a couple of tonsils later on in the dungeon, and I get knocked off them a few times just because there's this Octorok there that I literally cannot get rid of. Alright, these bubble things can actually take quite a bit of your health. The easiest way to get rid of them is not to shoot them with a Deku seed like that, but to make them pop with the Deku nut. Right, you basically head straight forward in this dungeon. These boxes are there to help trigger some switches later on, but it's not quite apparent. And it's not quite apparent why there are boxes inside a big animal anyway. So this is like the pit room. Depending on where you fall down in these holes, they help you get to the next part of the dungeon. So this is Princess Ruto. Quite a willful child, isn't she? Yeah, I'm pretty sure that hole was easier to see. We basically have to follow her down. And if you remember that great big green tail-looking thing back in that room, we need to get rid of that green undulating pipe, that tonsil, in order to get over to the other side of the room, which is kind of where the boss dungeon, the boss room is. So this is Princess Ruto explaining why she's in Jabu's belly still, and how she got in there in the first place. Right, do not do what I'm doing now and fight these animals straight away. Or jump down from this platform. If you jump down from this platform, you have to return. I got really caught up trying to get rid of these animals. I thought maybe I needed to jump down a bit further. Because like I said, my guide is not the best guide. It's a pretty good guide, but it's not the best. And this is the Z targeting problem I seem to be having. Okay, I can never seem to Z target the one closest to me. It always ends up Z targeting the wrong object. Luckily you can kill these guys with Deku Nuts. So now we've made ourselves in trouble. We've blocked ourselves off. We need to get back up to that platform, and there's no way to do that unless we climb back up to the top like this. So we climb back up that wall, and now we drop back down again. I think my nefarious jump cutting now will speed up the game a little bit. So we can use Princess Ruto as an item in the dungeon. She actually helps us complete tasks this way. Like I said, very heavy on the Deku Nuts. Need to be very careful, and I'm pretty sure they never get resupplied in the dungeon. Like, there's never a pot you can break that will give you more. Right, this is a simple switch puzzle. You have to jump down with Princess Ruto, throw her up to the other side of the room, and then press that switch, and then float up to the top when the water level rises. These animals here are really irritating. There's like 4 of them, and you can't shoot them quickly twice. You've got to wait a specific amount of time before you can hit them again. And they're really difficult to get without jumping down and then raising the water level, coming back and picking her up, and then throwing over the other side, raising the water level, swimming over to the other side. Like it's a really frustrating puzzle, this one. There's just a lot of waiting and a lot of steps that you have to get involved in doing. I'm pretty sure I've gotten rid of... No, I haven't gotten rid of all of them. Okay, the enemy music has gone away, so I think we've gotten rid of them all. So now I'm obviously checking my guide about what to do now. Cut back to moving. There's a gold sculpture on this side of the room. Basically the only way to get rid of this gold sculpture is to cause the water level to rise. And I'm pretty sure there's some items on top of that alcove up there. So I try to climb, but you have to raise the water level to do that. So if you did jump down and try and kill those animals straight away and took damage, you'd have to raise the water level several times in order to solve this puzzle. And it probably saved time for the programmers to have like a puzzle that you repeated over and over again, but it's a really frustrating task to have to do. So I don't think this is one of the best puzzles in any Zelda game. I found it really frustrating. There's a fairy here, obviously. We'll catch this fairy, I think. We actually do manage to catch this fairy, unlike in Dodongo's cabin. Lots of Deku seeds, but no Deku Nuts. That was me trying to get to that platform without having to raise the water level. And here we go, raising the water level again. You have to do it a good like 3 or 4 times. It is actually really irritating. I don't know why you'd have to repeat this thing so many times. I think we spent most of this episode in this particular puzzle. You can see how the tone of the Let's Play has changed. I've gone from saying things look very beautiful, things are interesting. I have a lot of nostalgia for this game, but I think the nostalgia is radically waning. Yeah, we're coming to the end of the episode now. We've spent most of it in this damn puzzle, which is really frustrating. It's gonna make it through to the next room. I think by the time we get to the next room or the room after that, we'll cut. We'll end the puzzle. You might be able to throw Princess Ruto at that switch, but I decide not to. I decide to use the Deku Seeds, the slingshot. Yeah, these Octoroks are so irritating. And when you get too close, they run away. Let's try and dodge it. Okay, we did manage to dodge its pellet. I think there's actually a room you can swim down there, but I don't think we can return there until we've got a bigger gill that we can exploit. Anyway, we'll cut the episode here. Right, thanks so much for watching, guys. I'm sorry if this is becoming a real hate session. My partner was actually quite bemused because she says, why are you doing this thing that you don't enjoy so much? And I really wanted to see this task through. I wanted to complete this game, but it's turning out not to be as fun as I thought it was. Anyway, at least this episode, it's not that fun. I think we should be able to make a bit more headway next episode. Alright, I'll see you guys then.